Hi, I'm Marcus.
And I'm Nick.
And we are Working Class Nerds.
We're the podcast that gives you no information about your favorite information.
This week's podcast is about microtransactions in the games we play. We're going to discuss the positives and the negatives and how they affect all of our games that we play.
So, Marcus, let me know what you did this week.
Well, it's been a crazy week between cleaning up from Christmas and then trying to get back in the swing of things with work, and it's been so cold here. We live in New England, so I don't think we've seen above freezing in, forever, it seems like. And, I don't mind the cold, but when it's freezing every single day, it's just wears on you.
It's brutal.
It is brutal.
When you walk outside and it just hurts, you know it's fucking cold.
Yeah, you should just stay inside.
Forget putting on a coat. You walk outside and it hurts.
For
That's
sure.
cold.
No, absolutely. So then my wife's family has a home in Rhode Island. So my wife wanted to go down for New Year's. So we took the drive down to Rhode Island, which is only like an hour and a half away, it's nice, the beach, but it was so cold we couldn't do anything.
Right.
Like they had this bonfire in the town next door to where we are. And we showed up there and I brought our daughter and, we were all bundled up. Remember the Christmas Story?
Yeah.
When they bundle up the little kid.
And
he
I can't put my arms down.
Yeah, he's doing that. So that was our daughter.
Yeah.
She was cool with it. We took her over to the fire. She could care less about the fire. All she cared about was going and seeing the fire truck in case the fire got out of control. It's freezing out. The fire's not going anywhere. It's not spreading. So we were down there and we had this grand plan. My wife bought some of those like kazoo things for the New Year's, and it was just a few. It was just a few of us down there, so it was, it was supposed to be great. Well, my daughter decided she wanted to jump out of her crib.
Oh boy!
So we all put her to bed. She fought us, and then she opened up the door and came back downstairs and was like, "Hi guys," and we were like, "All right."
Oh boy!
So that was the night before, and on New Year's, I laid with her in bed. Well, you put me in bed at any time. And next thing you know, I'm out cold. So it's like 8 o'clock at night, and I'm sound asleep. So it was a great experience. And then I woke up about, 5:30 or so. And again, my daughter turns to me, wakes up. She goes, "Hi, Daddy," and then laughs and goes back to bed. And when she snuggled up next to me, she decided it was a good idea to pee through her diaper, and so she peed all over me. But I was not getting her out of bed at 5:30 in the morning, so I just dealt with it until about 6:30 when she got up for real.
Wow.
And
the things you do for your kids.
Exactly. So then I played, 3 or 4 hours of Destiny 2 while I was down there, because I hooked up the mobile Wi-Fi spot on my phone, and I actually got to play some of the story content. I'll get into more about Destiny later, but that was pretty much Rhode Island, came back, and I've been going through an awful experience buying a new car. I've been stressed out about it, Mm-hmm. Buying a car is the worst thing on the planet. But I'm not going to bore you with all that. It's been a crazy, crazy week. What about you, Nick? What you been up to?
Well, last week, towards the end of the week, I just was working a lot. Since the last time you guys heard from me, I'm currently working for a construction company, just so you know, and this is my last week before I start at the hospital.
Thank God.
Counting down the seconds. But last week I was putting in some stupid flooring in the boss's basement, which that's never fun when you have to work that closely with your boss.
But why were you guys in the basement?
Oh, because of the aforementioned sub-zero temperatures.
Oh, that's awful.
Normally it would be like a siding company, but so yeah, we had to work in the boss's house.
In the basement.
In the basement. Not fun. This weekend I went down to visit the girlfriend. She's home at her parents' house. We're both students, so we live at with the parents when we're not in school. We went on a little brewery tour, got some lunch. It was nice, little date. Sunday I didn't do much. Played a little video games. I don't usually do a lot for New Year's, so usually just grab something to eat with the family and stay in for the night. Nothing too crazy. Have a few beverages at the house, but I don't usually go anywhere or anything like that.
I drank, 10 or 12 beers the first night, but I didn't get to drink anything the second.
Right. Yeah, I would definitely say I drank more Saturday than I did Sunday.
It's got to be hard, too, being at school and then coming home
Yeah, and being like super far apart.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, being together all the time and then being so far away, and it's, you know, I know she doesn't live far, but an hour and a half commute each way.
It's pretty far.
Yeah, it's a far drive.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
For sure.
Thank God Christmas break is only a month.
Yeah, exactly.
Or one of you guys would be moving closer.
Exactly. But then earlier this week, like today, I've been just getting things squared away for my classes to start, getting loans taken care of for school and all that stuff.
Whoever's listening to this knows Sally Mae is a bitch.
Yeah, I'm
Fuck
sure.
Sally Mae.
Yeah, Sally Mae sucks. But in between that stuff, I've just been trying to play as much of my games as I can before I start actually working at the hospital and before my classes start. So, speaking of games, Marcus, I heard you play a little game called Star Wars: The Old Republic.
Come on, I'm obsessed with the game, right? So, for anybody that doesn't know, Star Wars: The Old Republic is a classic-style MMORPG set in the Star Wars era, 3,000 years before Episode 4, A New Hope. So, lots of lightsabers, lots of Sith, lots of Jedi. Mm-hmm. The galaxy is at war between each other.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong. The Jedi and the Sith are the reigning governing bodies as well, correct? Or are there governments outside of them?
No, there's governments outside. So you have your Imperial side, which, you have your Imperial government.
Right.
And then you have the Republic, the Old Republic, which is, the Senate and all that stuff. Yeah. So there's still
only
the bureaucratic
the name of the
stuff.
Nick. Get with the program.
Well, that's all right. Yeah, I mean, you get into those details. But I'm absolutely obsessed with it. Mm-hmm. I started off playing when it first came out 6 years ago, and then I played it for about a week and said, I'm going to love this game, and Call of Duty was at its height. Right. And I'm sorry. When Call of Duty was out, and we were all playing on the Xbox, and we were all just on, it was like a race to get home every single night so you could get in that first 12-person party.
Exactly.
Because you wanted to play with your friends, not everybody else.
Right.
And so I stopped playing the game, and then I don't know what it did, what happened. Maybe I just got, comfortable. I don't know. And one day I was like, I'm going to play Star Wars again. So I loaded it in my computer, and it's like I fell in love with this game. I was like, where did this thing come from? Even though it's been sitting in a box since, 2011? 11.
No.
2012.
12. Yeah, because if it's 6-year anniversary,
12.
It must have been 12.
I don't even know. Some of the guys in the guild that I'm a part of, they've been playing it since Alpha. And,
wow.
I can't compare it to that, Sure. But either way, I started playing a lot of the PvE content. I was a part of a guild. They were a great, nice group of guys to chat with. And but then I started listening to another podcast. I guess I'll give them a plug. Star Wars Escape Podcast, Max and Seema. Max runs our guild for the Old Republic. So I started listening to their podcast, and I was like, wow, their guild sounds great. They're doing this. So I joined on the Republic side, and nobody was ever on. I was like, what is this? And all of a sudden, on a Tuesday night, randomly, there's 16 people on. I'm like, whoa, what's going on here? Mm-hmm. They do their mandatory fun nights on Tuesday nights. And they'll switch back and forth from the Imperial and then the pub side. And they did that. And then as I kind of grew in the guild, I don't know, a couple weeks, I found out one of the raid teams, or their ops teams, their ops teams is like it's an 8 or 16 man team PvE event that you go in, like World of Warcraft, where you raid and you take dungeons. It's the same kind of concept, but it's
This is for us people who may have not played a game like this. PvE meaning player versus environment.
Yeah,
and you're basically teaming up to go on a co-op quest, so to speak. You have shared group objectives and stuff like that, and eventually you all fight at the same time a giant boss.
Right.
That's usually pretty epic.
Yeah, so I joined a Wednesday night team, and they play from 9 to 11 p.m., and they really handheld me. It was kind of awesome. They handheld me through. They did the same op every week to try to get my gear and all this stuff, and I felt like I was always taking the team down, and the leader was super patient with me. He's probably one of the most patient people when it comes to that. he's probably laughing if he's listening to this because he'll say he's not patient. But, you know, I got that a lot.
Yeah.
You know, so, but it was great.
Marcus.
Yeah, it's great, and I thank them. And then, you know, a year later, 7 months later, somebody was like, "Hey, is anybody interested in doing a weekend raid team?" Well, then I made the mistake of saying, "Well, let's start one. I'll lead it." Well, so we did. So I started a Sunday night ops team, and we just filled up the team. We had a guy, but he had trouble committing to the Sunday, so we were down to 7 guys, and you know it's tough running a team and starting that, and you know, and I'm pretty new to the whole operations thing, so you know I'm learning the fights as I go as well, and you know really relying on some of the players that are on our team, you know, in on my team to help me coach the other players on what we have to do because you know I can only read so many notes on it.
Sure.
But I'm kind of obsessed. Everybody makes fun of me because I play a Marauder, which is a dual wielding lightsaber, and BioWare, the company who makes the game, really hates melee. So you know I you know, and they always say that it's always the Marauder always jumps in first. He always does everything that happens wrong, and whenever something bad happens, they blame me. But that's all right. I'll take it. You know, I am kind of that guy. And what else is happening in the game? Well, their Christmassy holiday time thing is called Life Day, and I don't do this, so I can't really explain to you what it is, but they shoot snowballs out of guns or throw snowballs at people, and it gives you experience. I kind of don't really get into it. Mm-hmm. You know, they did an event where, you know, a bunch of them all got together and they threw snowballs for an hour and a half. That's really not for me.
Yeah.
And I can't even tell you how much CXP or XP they give you for that, but
it's some kind of extra XP for
the
it's
some kind of something for the holiday spirit.
Sure.
And I guess they're throwing snowballs at each other.
Right.
But so if this game sounds awesome to you, which I can tell you it's awesome because I love it very much.
Yeah.
AIE is the guild. And we
That's
are on
the letters AIE.
Correct. It's a Latin name, and every time I say it, I butcher it, so I'm not going to say it.
Fair enough.
But we're on the Starforge server. You can find out any of the guild information at aie-guild.org. That's really for all the guild information and all the games that we play. The guild is big, and we play a bunch of different games. We have a big presence in WoW. I think that's the biggest. But, you know, there's a long list of it as well. The other thing, if you're in Star Wars The Old Republic and you want to join the guild, you can do a /C join in the chat window, AIE LFO. So that's /C join AIE LFO on the Starforge server, and one of the officers can get you an invite in, pub or Republic. And on the AIE-guild.org, you can find our Discord information and jump in and start chatting with all of us. So, Nick, tell me about your games that you're playing, or the games that you have had time to play in prepping for college.
Sure. Well, I really only play 2 games, but the first of which, and the one that I play the most, is Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six Siege. So, I oftentimes play with my buddy Al. Shout out to Al. He wanted me to make a point to say hi to him.
Well, I mean, that's understandable, you know?
Yeah, I mean, you get to shout out to a whole guild of people. I can't make one shout out.
Of course, no, of course. No, and if you're playing with one person all the time, it's just like me when I'm playing with the same group of 8 guys week in and week out. You have to say hello.
Right.
What was I going to say? Oh, you said 2 games. You play 2 games?
Right.
That's all I have time for. I play one Star Wars mainly, and then I have Destiny, which I play part-time, which we'll talk about later.
Right.
So what is Siege?
So I mentioned it briefly last podcast, but Siege is pretty much, it is exactly 5 versus 5, attack and defend, close quarters combat.
Only attack and defend?
Well,
no, like team deathmatch?
No. It's just, so either, it can be team deathmatch style. So there's 3 different game modes on various maps. There's capture the area, basically, which is The scenario is one group of 5 is defending a biohazardous box that's some sort of chemical weapon, and you just have to be in the area to claim the area. So, and there can't be any enemy defenders in the area. So that ultimately turns into 5 versus 5 team deathmatch, and you have to kill all 5 of the opposing players. So there's no respawns in rounds.
So it's almost like the old Rainbow Six games, because once you die, you die.
Right, that's exactly right. So it's multiplayer. So it's almost like
tactical.
That search and destroy type of mode. There's a game mode. In back in the Call of Duties. Or I guess probably still in the Call of Duty.
I don't know. I don't play them.
I haven't played the recent ones either. But then there's another game mode called Bombs. So there's two bombs. So it's a larger area that the defenders have to defend, and the attackers have to bring a diffuser. Exactly, diffusing box.
I always love that.
Diffuse it,
and it takes like 10 seconds to diffuse the bomb.
Right. Yeah, and then You know, it's just planting the diffuser. So it's like, I think it's 5 seconds or so. It's pretty quick to plant the diffuser, and then boop, and it takes maybe 20 seconds or something like that. So the team that would be attacking has to go in, plant the diffuser, and then sort of step back and defend the diffuser. While the defenders, the original defenders, have to go and try and find where the hell they put the diffuser, and meanwhile, try not to get shot.
Are there different classes to play?
Yes. So they're called them operators. So there's different. Every single character is a different operator. So similar to Overwatch, have you ever played that?
I have.
So there's you don't really make a class like you would in a Call of Duty or a Battlefield. You just pick a person. So certain people have shared attributes, like there's people that are all from the FBI SWAT, or they're all from the Great British Anti-Terrorist SAS. So the characters are based on different groups of anti-terrorism or elite combat units. So, and each character has different abilities. Like one of the operators, called Ash, can fire a gun that blows holes in doors that you can walk through. So, like, if you know an enemy's behind a door, you can just shoot, blow a hole in, and then shoot them. Or maybe the explosion will kill them. And there's different ones. Is
there the guy with the riot shield?
Yeah, there's a guy with a riot shield.
Now that would be my guy.
Yeah, there's several, actually. There's one that has a riot shield that goes the full length of his body, so you can't shoot him unless you get behind him. That guy's really annoying. His name is, like, Montague.
Whatever it is.
Yeah. There's another guy with a riot shield that has, like, a flashbang flash on the shield. So every, like, 5 seconds he can activate it and blind the shit out of you. That guy's really annoying, too.
Well, but he's the best guy to play.
Well, yeah, especially for that bomb mode. Because then you can go in, plant the bomb, and then just stand in front of the people and flash them. They can't see it.
So this is really, you must have to communicate a ton when playing this game.
All about communication.
So when you get a noob in the room, it must be awful.
Awful. Especially for ranked. So, like, there's a casual mode, and then you have to get to level 20, which doesn't take that long, man. Or like 4 hours or something of playing online, of playing casual. And then you can play ranked. And yeah, when you get a new person in ranked, it's rough. Because you have to unlock new characters, and in certain situations, you should use certain characters over others, because they have better abilities, and blah, blah, blah.
So the same characters aren't unlocked for regular mode versus ranked?
No, you can. So that's what I wanted to get into. You can, through the game, playing the game, every time you play a match, you get this currency called... I forget what it's called. It's just like
money.
Money.
Give me some money.
Rainbow 6 points, whatever.
Right.
So you get this currency in the game from playing just matches, and to unlock a new operator, it costs 500 currency, whatever. And then in order to unlock other characters, you have to keep playing to unlock the different operators that do different things.
So what you're saying is, so you can, as you rank up, you can unlock other characters, and then you get money, and the money unlocks attributes, or does it unlock the stats, or what does it unlock for you when you have the money? Can you unlock the guns? So I'm level 1. I want to make it to level 20. My growth through that, I'm gaining this currency. What am I buying with that currency?
You're just buying the operators themselves. And the operators come with predetermined stats and abilities. So each operator has either a gadget or an ability that lets them do certain things.
So
in the game.
the money. So how do you unlock that? Just by leveling it?
Yes, just by playing matches. So like if you win a match, you'll get like 300 money, or if you win a if you win a match, you'll get like 500. If you lose a match, you'll get like 300 or something like that. And plus or minus depending on how you do in the match, your kill death ratio, things like that. So, but it all depends on how good the characters are. And the original characters that came with the game, the base game, are a lot cheaper than they're a lot cheaper than the DLC characters. So there's about 20 operators that came with the game originally. And there's 4 for each counterterrorism group. There's like FBI, SAS, Spetsnaz, there's a GIG-9, I believe it's called, for I think it's the Polish or German anti-terrorism group, but
Sure.
you get the picture. There's 4 in each anti-terrorism group.
So basically, so you're playing the game to unlock more characters.
Right.
And then once you every character you start at level 1?
No, the characters don't really level. You then have to like you'd have to spend more money to buy like gadgets for the guns, like put a sight on or put a
right. So basically, the money is everything. The more money you have, the more you can upgrade your character.
Right, but it's not too much though. It's not the effect of Call of Duty where it means a whole lot. Like just you put a sight on and you're good to go. You can always have it forever, and you have that character forever too. Right. So it's not like you can unlock more than one ability for the character. Once you unlock the character, they have the one ability and that's it.
So there's
not like a progression tree for each character.
Okay, now I'm understanding a little bit more.
Right.
All right, so there's just a bunch of different characters, and each person has their own set of skills that you can use for each different mode.
Exactly.
And depending if the team has 2 tanks and 2 healers, and I'm referring to like Star Wars
MMO
world,
stuff, sure.
you need somebody to be the DPS to shoot these guys down.
Right.
You don't need any more defenders, and you don't need any more people to protect you. You just need somebody to kill.
Right.
I get it.
There's exactly the equivalence of those would be people who are when you're defending. There's 2 sets of people. There's defenders and attackers, and characters that are exclusive to one or the other.
Sure.
So you can only pick from this group as you're attacking and another group as you're defending.
Right. No, I get it. So, I think that, the game sounds like, it's so much based on cooperative play, and I would find myself being frustrated in that game if I didn't have anybody to play with.
Right.
Because if I didn't even know one person on my team, and I was always, pugging the groups to try to just, find the random 4 people to play with.
Sure.
Everybody plays differently, and you get on a team that somebody like you has 4 of your friends that play this game.
Sure.
You guys all play this game. You guys are going to destroy us every time.
Right.
And I don't have that group of friends that play. Right. But I did see that Steam had it on sale. I think it's $8.99 right now on Steam
For Siege?
Yeah, for Siege.
I think it's well worth it. I don't know how populated the PC game is. I'm assuming since the PS4 version is really populated that you can definitely play a lot. But yeah,
I don't know if we've said this. I am a complete PC gamer.
Right.
I have an Xbox One just to have an Xbox One, and because I paid $149 tax-free at the Air Force Base in town, or in our local area, because my little brother's in the Air Force and he got us a sweet deal.
Right.
And Nick is a console gamer, so it's kind of awesome to be able to discuss the differences in games.
Right. Yeah, I would play PC, but I don't have the money to buy a proper PC to game on, so...
It used to be that you'd buy a computer and it lasts for, 7 years, 8 years, but at the rate technology is going,
it doesn't last nearly as long. Right.
Oh my God. But I don't want to get into the PC versus console debacle because this whole show will be over and we won't actually talk about the topic that we had to talk about.
Right. So, Marcus, you play another game, just not quite as often, and I believe that game is Destiny 2.
It is, and I love it. I don't have enough time to play it.
Neither do I.
So, a lot of some people in the guild play it, and they, it's been growing steam, and I think there's more people that play it than I think that play it, but the game's awesome. It takes everything that I love about the old Call of Duties, in a sense, and puts it into a Star Wars world without Star Wars, but it's an MMO. It's great. I'm level 13. My power level's like 137. Mm-hmm. I still have no idea what all that means. Like, I click on these planets, and it says recommended power 80, and I'm like, oh, I'm a 137. I can do this campaign. But little do I know, as soon as I get in there and I'm getting killed by things that are at, power level 175, and some of the pro Destiny players that are listening to this are like, this guy's awful if he can't beat something that's a 175. I mean, come on.
Right.
But, like, I don't get it. And, I guess, the other podcasts that I listen to have about Destiny, because the whole basis of Destiny and Bungie is awesome in every way, but I guess they're like, you just got to power level through the campaign. Just go through it. Don't even enjoy it. And I'm like, I don't have a lot of time. Right. So the free time that I have, and if I get to play an hour or two of Destiny, I get to play it and enjoy it. But I'm in this part, I don't even know. I couldn't even tell you where I am or what I'm doing. But there's 30,000 enemies, PvE enemies.
Right.
And one of these, they're like a robot kind of guy. Well, as soon as they get close to you, they decide they're going to explode. Well, your armor's gone, and you've got like quarter health left, and then some dude from the way on the other side decides to shoot me, and I'm dead.
Right.
And when I die, it says power level 175. And I'm like, well, this is the next step in the career mode, or the campaign, I guess I should say. So I don't know what I'm supposed to do. So I'll play it, and then I get frustrated.
And then go back to Star Wars.
And then I'm at Star Wars where I'm comfortable. And, I haven't even done everything in Star Wars. But I think Destiny is so intriguing to me. I guess if I committed more time to it,
right,
I could do it more. But I don't really have the time to play more.
Right.
I play Star Wars as much as I can. But, there's not more time for me to play. Right. I'm a 9 p.m. until midnight player during the week. I said that in the last episode. Baby goes to bed. I hang out with the wife for a little while, and then I'm on my computer.
Right.
And I get up at 5:30 or 6 in the morning every day for work, but I'm still up all night, But the, the thing is for me about Destiny is, I don't know if I should grind more. Do I just stay on one planet and grind out levels and get as much as I can just to get up to the 200s? I think I saw one of the guys in the guild is like a 350 in power level. I don't even know how to get to that point, right? Max level like you is 20. They stop there, and then you grow these power levels to get you where you get your gear. And I understand that part, because the same thing in Star Wars, you get to level 70, and then you got to get to 300 command rank, and you get to the max gear level.
War, sort of.
But, if anybody's listening to this and they want to message me, and they want to teach me how to play Destiny, I'm all ears. I do the campaign, I die. And then I try something else, and then I'll go join a public event, and thank God there's level 20s and 25s around.
To show you what to do.
No, because they're just taking care of everything, and then I get the loot at the end, and I gain experience. You know what I mean? Because my baby level of 137, my power level of 137 isn't doing much damage.
Right.
And then finding some guns and stuff. It's mind-blowing to me, but I guess it's a different change of pace, so I don't mind playing it, 3 or 4 hours a week, if I can even play it that much.
Right. See, when I went to go play Destiny, Marcus, had first started. He was super gung-ho about it, and he actually bought it for me very generously for my PC. I have a laptop that's okay at gaming.
Well, it's not bad. You got a 960 in it.
Right. And it runs at about medium graphics once we tweak some things, and it runs fine, but it's tough for me to get into it. First of all, it would be my third game, which the third game always gets just neglected really badly.
You never play it.
Right.
No matter what you want to do.
So, it's the third game, sort of like the middle child syndrome, just gets really neglected. And for me, Destiny doesn't really hold my interest as much because it doesn't have such a deep lore background like some of my other games do.
But it does. But it's just not there. It's wild. Because there is lore, but there's no books. There's no comic books.
Right.
There's no background to it.
Right.
And they say they're going to come out with it, but, they do a digital comic, but who wants that?
Yeah.
Just a digital comic. There should be books about it.
Right.
And, perfect game lore. You want to talk about lore that might be I don't know. I don't know if I would say it's as big as Star Wars because
Close to it.
Star Wars is just taking over the world. But
That's
you
true.
play Shadow of War, the Lord of the Rings,
Right.
and
Right.
I'm sure it's not called that, but that's the sequel
Oh, you were
to.
close. Yeah.
That's the sequel to what?
Shadow of Mordor.
See, I just like that word Mordor. Mordor.
It's so powerful. I think it's a long O's or something
But
like that.
So there's if you want lore behind it, and that's probably why. Well, I grew up with Star Wars, so that's where you want lore in a game, and you can see a hobbit running around, and you want to slay the hobbit. There's
Right.
your lore because you know what a hobbit is.
Right. Or you know what orcs are, or you know
Right.
what Orokai are, or whatever.
Exactly.
Yeah, so that's a great transition into my second game, Middle-earth: Shadow of War. So, it's, as Marcus said, it's the sequel to Shadow of Mordor.
Lord of the Rings, precious.
Right.
You get the ring? Is there the ring in it?
Well, will you let me talk?
All
I'll
right,
tell you
I'm
all about it.
See, I think Lord of the Rings, I get excited for my precious.
Right.
That's it. That's all I think about.
Smeagol or / Gollum is in it, for sure. He helps you out. So,
Because he wants the ring.
exactly. So, it takes place... Well, it's a sequel to Shadow of Mordor, so I have to talk a little bit about Shadow of Mordor. If you haven't played Shadow of Mordor, I'm going to spoil Shadow of Mordor, so sorry. The game's pretty old. If you haven't played it already, it's your own fault for listening to this. In Shadow of Mordor, and Shadow of War, you play as Talion. He's a ranger of the Black Gate, so he's from Gondor, and guards the boundary between Mordor and Gondor. He gets the gate gets attacked, and he gets used in a magical sacrifice to try and bring back Sauron, the main bad guy from Lord of the Rings.
I got a question.
Yeah.
Sorry to break this.
No, it's okay.
When does this take place in conjunction with the movies?
It takes place before the Lord of the Rings movies, the original Lord of the Rings trilogy, but after the Hobbit series. So
Okay.
between the Hobbit and
It's
the Lord
in
of the
between.
Rings. Right.
It's the tie between the both.
Right.
Okay.
Exactly.
Okay.
So because he was killed in that sacrificial ceremony. He is, they call it, he's banished from death. So because he's banished from death, he also gets linked up with this wraith, kind of like the Nazgul.
Yep.
That is also banished from death, and later in the game, spoiler alert, you learn that this wraith is Celebrimbor. Celebrimbor is the elf that made the original One Ring for Sauron. Now, when Celebrimbor originally made the ring, he made it for himself, just as a ring of power, to try and stop Sauron, because Sauron was amassing all these orc evil forces. But he didn't realize that Sauron was influenced the ring and putting evil into it, so that once Celebrimbor made the ring, Sauron could steal it from him, and the ring would be more loyal to Sauron instead of Celebrimbor. So that's how Sauron defeated all the elves and gained so much power over Celebrimbor. It's pretty epic.
So right in what you said for me is it screams lore.
Yeah.
If we're talking about lore game,
Right.
kind of like Star Wars, but for this, everything you're saying, that one ring
Right.
signifies everything that I know about the movie.
Right.
And I've watched those movies a million times.
Right. This is, Sauron's first uprising, and then the Lord of the Rings takes over after he's been put down already.
Okay, so that's Shadow of Mordor?
Right. Shadow of Mordor the plot is basically you're trying to attack the guy that killed you in the first place. The guy, I think he's called the Black Hand.
Yeah.
He's the
Same guy that stabbed
no,
Frodo.
that's not quite. That's one of the Nazgul, I think they're called.
All right.
But anyways, the Witch King.
Okay.
That's actually a bad guy in Shadow of War, the second game. But the game is just you figuring out what the hell happened to you because you're now dead, and that's sort of how they explain away the respawn mechanic is you're banished from death. So you get respawned when you die in the game. Since you're paired with the Wraith and banished from death, you respawn because you cannot die now. You're cursed to eternal life.
All right, so is this Shadow of Mordor or Shadow of War?
That mechanic is in both. The
Okay.
banished from death. It's the same character across both games. You're Talion tied to Celebrimbor
In both games.
in both games.
Okay, so how does Shadow of Mordor end and the new game pick up?
So, at the end of Shadow of Mordor, the first game, you end up killing the guy that killed you, the Black Hand, who's a sorcerer that is a follower of Sauron, trying to bring back Sauron. And you end up killing him. All is good. And throughout the game, you're building up an orc army. You're stealing orc soldiers and using your magical wraith abilities to warp them to your side.
Okay.
And then at the end of that game, you kill him, and it sort of leaves off as you're going to go make a new ring of power. So, using for yourself your own ring of power. The game picks up. You make the ring of power.
So now there's two.
There's two. There's one that Sauron's corrupted, and a second that Celebrimbor made through Talion that is not corrupted, and Celebrimbor can use it.
So then, how much of this game have you played?
I've played probably about 5 hours worth, so I'm not very far into it.
How long's the campaign? Do you know?
I'm not sure, but I can get you that information.
I believe that.
I think it's pretty long.
I was going to say, I don't want to know how long a campaign is.
I don't need.
I want to enjoy it.
Right.
I don't want to, I know that if you're playing a Call of Duty and I go back to Call of Duty, you're going to play 5 hours.
Right.
But, I know that Mass Effect 2 they said 32 hours, but I think I took 40 to do it because I loved every minute of it.
Right. Yeah, for me, I'm definitely going to take longer for this campaign because I do all the little side stuff.
See, that's a big question, too, and I guess it's a topic for another day, right?
Sure.
You play these long, because essentially, that's not an MMO.
Right.
But it's the same kind of style action RPG
right.
where you're just roaming the world. It's a sandbox.
Right.
You roam a world and you find a guy with a little triangle above his head or whatever, question mark,
sure,
or whatever it may be. And you're like, oh, what does he have to say? And then he's like, hey, you want to go
slay a dragon? You're like, hell yeah, I want to slay a dragon.
And then
Fuck the princess.
Right, exactly.
Let's go.
Exactly. And then you realize that it's like 4,642 miles away from where you are.
Right, and you're like, oh, I guess I'm already committed.
All right, let's go. Yeah, exactly. So,
right. So I guess in Shadow of War, it's just fun because the first part is destroying the orc army, and then the second half you can take over your own orc army, which is pretty cool.
And something else that I'm realizing is your first choice in game,
right,
is my second choice in game, and your second choice in game is my first. So we, the Shadow of War running around slaying a sword, I'm running around slaying 2 lightsabers.
Right.
And your second game, which is your first game,
Siege,
is running around with guns.
Right.
Killing is my second game, Destiny. That's funny.
Right.
It's 2 different paces, but it's in the opposite pattern.
Right. So, I guess that's it about Middle-earth Shadow of War.
I do have one more question about it.
Oh, go ahead.
So, do you get to create the stats for your character?
No. You have abilities that you unlock.
Do you get to create his attributes, like if he's a fat guy, short guy, anything like that?
No, none of that stuff. Italian is Italian, but you can add different abilities, like you can...
Yeah, it's a typical RPG.
Yeah, right, exactly. Just a typical RPG.
So
you add abilities as you go along, but no... there's no, like, in Fallout where you get the special speed, perception, endurance...
Is it levels?
Yep, you level up, so you get more experience. And every time you level up, you gain a skill point. And those skill points can be used to unlock a specific ability.
I think that's really games of now. Everything is about leveling up. But, I mean, I really have to use the bathroom.
As do I. So, after this quick break, we're going to talk about microtransaction and are they good for games?
Hey, we're back. So, as Nick said in the first episode, we love our craft beer. Started for some years for me. I was driving up to Vermont to get a case of beer, and and since then it's just grown into this explosion of craft beer. And I dragged Nick down the road, and it took a while, and like a lot of times telling my uncle and his dad, how great an IPA was, and he was like, I'm never drinking that, and now it's
like $4 a can. Are you kidding me?
Exactly.
I can get 30 for $15.99.
And now he's leaving work at lunchtime to go up to
Treehouse
Brewery or wherever to get that special beer that they're only releasing once a month.
Right.
Right. So anyway, I just want to say I am drinking right now. It's from Lost Nation Brewing. They're out of Vermont. It's the Mosaic IPA. And for me, I'm a big regular IPA and a session IPA kind of a drinker. I'm not a big fan of the double because I don't really like the big potency. I don't know why.
Well, you like to drink a larger a larger volume of beer.
Well, no,
compared to me, I should say.
Yeah, I just like to enjoy the taste of the beer, and I don't want to drink one beer and feel like I'm hammered.
Right.
Some people love just drinking one beer and they're wishy-washy, slurring words. It's not me.
Right.
You know?
Right.
What are you drinking?
I'm drinking... I pulled out the big guns today for the second episode of the podcast. I went with a double shot Costa Rica Santa Rosa from Treehouse Brewing Company out of Charlton, Massachusetts.
Let's face it, they're really from Munson, man.
They're from Munson.
They can have the $7 billion building in Charlton, but they're Munson made, man.
Right. Yeah. I mean, technically they started in
Brimfield.
Thank you.
But they got kicked out before they even opened.
Right. Exactly. Because long story short. Anyways, drinking a double shot from Treehouse. It's their super duper coffee stout. It's excellent.
What's the percentage?
This one is 8.7. It's usually around 9.
Wait, hold on.
Yeah,
but the coffee, so the alcohol, it's almost like drinking a Red Bull and vodka.
Right.
The coffee
is the coffee and the caffeine.
Yeah. Coffee and the booze. You're going to be amped, but slurring words later.
Right. So normally, I lean towards a double IPA typically, but because like we mentioned earlier, Marcus likes to drink like a few beers just before he starts getting, start feeling it. I like to drink like one or two, and then I like it. I mean, maybe it's just because I get full fast, or I just have a weak stomach, or
maybe you're just a champion and you can drink 2 beers and feel good and be done.
Or whatever, right? Yeah. But as it's gotten frigid here, I kind of have been leaning towards a stout. Typically, I can't have a lot of stouts because I'm allergic to chocolate and my immune system sucks, and Marcus laughs at me for it all the time.
And trust me, every second I get to offer him a Reese's peanut butter cup, I shove it in his face, or a chocolate chip cookie. Is there chocolate chips in here? Nope. There's no chocolate chips. He's like, Marcus,
it could be like double chocolate chip fudge.
Here,
chocolate
just try
it.
It's not chocolate.
Dipped in chocolate fondue. And they'll be like, no, there's no chocolate. Just try it.
Just try it.
Thanks, Dick.
Yeah.
It's just comedy.
Right. So I just want to let you guys know what we are drinking tonight. So the big question of the night is the microtransactions. Are they good for our games? And are they good for the future of games?
So my thoughts generally on microtransactions is that they are good if they're done right, which they're almost never done right, in my opinion. So if you look at the cost of games over the years, I think Super Mario's, the original game, was $40 in the US, $40. So since the early 90s, games have been costing around $60 or $50.
Yeah, it went from 50 to 60, but it hasn't moved from $60 in a long time.
Right, but even that growth from 50 to 60 is not a big jump in the scale of things, in the scale of inflation and all that. So my point being, the cost to make games has gotten bigger and bigger, and the cost of the base game themselves hasn't really changed. So game manufacturers need to make money somehow. They need to make up the difference until game prices just increase over time. And as long as the microtransactions or loot boxes or the random boxes, whatever you
the
call
extras,
them, the extras in a game are purely cosmetic, I don't have a big gripe with that. You know what I mean? As long as the loot box content stays as cosmetic content, I don't have a big issue with that. Or if games produce DLC later, it's extra, that stuff that wasn't available at the, for developmental wise, things that weren't available when the base game came out. I don't mind them charging extra for that either.
Right. So, okay. So I'll get into my opinion in a minute, but let me ask you this opinion. So as games cost $60,
right,
in 2017, and we both know, what can you even buy for $60 anymore?
Right.
Other than a video game. Really think about it. You go to the grocery store, you can't. $60 doesn't get you anything.
Not enough for a whole
week. There's a local
couple.
Grocery store down the road.
Sure.
And I swear to God, I buy 2 steaks, 2 potatoes, and some green beans, and it's $65.
Sure, easily.
Exactly. And I blame, the guy running the meat department and, to lower prices. You know what I mean? Like, get us some better deals. But no, seriously. So in the digital age with games, now, everything is download.
Right.
You can go to GameStop and buy I'm staring at Halo 5. I was all about buying Halo 5 for the Xbox One.
Sure.
How many times did I play it? One time.
Right.
One time. And
Now you open it, and now
all
you can't get your money back. Way to go.
Even though, I paid $13.99 for a brand new copy on eBay. I mean, I couldn't say no. So I put the game in. I'm all excited. But now, mind you, I haven't played an Xbox game since the 360.
Wow.
Okay? Haven't. Had no interest in it because I'm a PC gamer. So I put the game in, and I'm like, I sit down, I put my feet up in the recliner, and it pops up. You need to install the game.
And you're like, what?
What the fuck? I was like, what kind of bullshit is this? I want to just play the game. So, mind you now I have the game. Now I have to download it to my hard drive. So then I'm like, perfect. Now I don't ever have to pull out the disc again.
Wrong.
Got to put the disc in because then it has to process it.
Like authenticate or whatever it's called, right?
Whatever it is. So it makes me say to myself, all right, so why did I even buy this disc?
Mm-hmm. Right.
And, why does anybody go to the store? So this brings me to my microtransaction comment. Microtransactions are what they have to do.
Right.
Because until, when they finally start charging $70 for a game.
Or $80 for a game.
Whatever it is.
Whatever they got to do.
Well, I think it'll be $70. I don't think they can jump $20.
No, I don't think so either. I think 70 is more accurate.
Right. But they got to do it.
Right. They have to jump it up at some point.
At some point. So it first begs the question of, at what point do they make that jump?
Mm-hmm.
Because the other thing is if you watch all the games now, every game has 3 versions of the game. You have your base game, which is $60, $59.99.
You have your...
And you're like, all right, if I'm interested in the game, I'll buy that.
Sure.
So then you have your limited edition, or your digital deluxe edition, which is $10 or $20 more than the base game.
Right. I think with Shadow of War, they called it the silver edition.
Well, whatever it is.
Sure.
So you get a special gun or a special sword that's better than everybody else's
at the start
for the first 10 levels.
Sure.
So you're leveling faster. You get maybe like an XP boost. It was the same thing in Star Wars: The Old Republic. Back in 2011, I bought the collector's edition for $200 because it came with an awesome statue of some guy. I had no idea, but he was a badass Sith.
Right.
But so these digital deluxe, you don't actually get anything physical extra with it because it's all digital game, but you may get some perks in the game.
Right.
So, but you're paying for that on the front end. Mm-hmm. So is that labeled a microtransaction, or is that just the base game plus extras?
I guess that's sort of like
the gray area.
Yeah, so it fits into something I was sort of getting towards earlier, is day one DLC. So in Shadow of War, for example, they have there's different tribes of orcs that you can take over, and they have different attributes basically. And part of some of those digital deluxe packages, you could get extra tribes of extra enemies to go against, or extra enemies to take over later that you can use for yourself.
But is that the same as a microtransaction? So I believe you can't have your cake and eat it too.
Right.
So, because essentially, if you're buying that day one pack of the digital deluxe and you're buying that upgraded thing and you're getting an XP boost, you have an upper hand over the regular guy who just paid $59.99 for the game.
Right, you absolutely do.
And
I don't like having things be pay to win.
Right, but is that pay to win if you're buying that version? Because it is pay to win.
Sure, why not? If you're buying something that you can only get, if you can only get it because you bought it, and that gives you an advantage over other people when you're playing against other people, I think that's paying to win. If you can unlock the same thing in game in a reasonable amount of time, I don't think that's pay to win. So like if you could get those perks within 4 or 5 hours of playing the game, I don't think or pay $10 more, I don't think that's unreasonable.
But if you're paying for it, it's still pay to win.
I think it depends on how long it takes you to unlock them in the game organically.
Well, I think everything is available in game.
Right.
When you buy, so you get the limited edition, or digital deluxe, where you get the special gun, the special sword, an XP boost for 2 hours or something, or 3 hours. You have double XP. So you have that advantage over all the first player, the base game players. But then you have the collector's edition, which usually gives you something.
Right.
I said Star Wars Republic gave me a statue that's in my statue case in my office, and then you have. You get the
digital
special
content, or like a steelbook
you get
case.
extra stuff.
Right.
You get extra stuff.
Right.
So now the guy who went out and spent $200 on this thing has above and beyond that base game player.
Right.
And some of that content isn't available to anybody else because it's a special for the collector's edition.
Right.
Or limited edition, or the scam from GameStop back in the day was the pre-order bonus.
Well, that's still a scam.
All right, well, it's still, but you still can get it. Day
game.
one, it's still there.
Right.
They just say it's your pre-order bonus unless it's specially made for those stores.
Right.
But brings me back to, so if day one, you can buy your microtransaction or day one DLC, as you say it.
Right.
Is that giving everybody an unfair advantage?
Well, it depends on how it's implemented. So, like, for a good example of this, I remember in the first Star Wars Battlefront, people were a little pissed that the pre-order bonus is Han Solo's pistol. I forget what it's called. It's like the DH-40 or something to that effect.
Okay.
If you pre-ordered the game, you got that right off the bat. Now, that's the best gun in the base game.
In the first Battlefront.
I haven't played the second one because of reasons I'll get into later. But in the first Battlefront, the pre-order bonus was the best gun in the game. And you had to play like 20 hours of online play to unlock that thing. It took a long time to unlock it. Now, that's unreasonable in my eyes to do. I think that's an unreasonable amount of time to pay to make players play versus somebody can just pay $5 and pre-order it and get that. So that's a pay-to-win type of scenario in my eyes.
But there's also, I hate to say it like this, the other way you can do it is you pre-order from Amazon. So if there's ever a beta that comes out, pre-order it from Amazon. When the beta's out, they'll email you the beta code, play the beta. As soon as you get the beta code, just cancel your pre-order. And now you have your code for your Battlefront game or
your
beta beta code for whatever game you're playing. But again, the gun is available
in the game. Right.
So it's not locked out. Say if you don't pre-order, you don't get this gun, which I would be okay with that because it almost becomes like a collector's item.
Right.
But something that I have to work really hard towards getting, that if you decided to buy your game from GameStop because GameStop paid EA $40 billion or whatever it is just give them the license, there should still be a gun that's better than that gun.
I agree.
And if it's not, then who's winning and who's losing?
Right.
The guy's spending $60.
Right.
So now my question is, would you, and this is all opinion, would you raise the prices of games to $70 and stop the digital deluxe version? Or will game companies stop that because they raise the prices of the game and just come out with a base game?
No, I don't think they're going to stop coming out with multiple versions of the game because it's more profitable to do it that way. I think it's easier for them to make money off of having the silver edition and the gold edition and the platinum collector's edition, because they have people that'll spend $200. And then there's
I'm that sucker,
right? I mean, it depends on the game. I would too. I almost did that for Shadow of War, but
the only reason why I didn't do it for Destiny, the only fucking reason why I didn't do it for Destiny, is because I play on the PC and
they don't come out. They don't make it for the PC.
Well, they
right?
did,
but
it was $249.
Eesh.
But the Xbox and the PlayStation version, I was seeing deals for $229, $199, and I'm like, well, why the fuck am I going to pay full price for a PC collector's edition?
Right.
When I can get that. But then I realized, like, I'm barely going to play this game.
Right.
And what do you get for the collector's edition? You don't get a sweet statue. You get a satchel.
A man purse.
A man purse, right? Which is pretty sweet, like hanging on the wall in the office, sure.
Right, or maybe if you'd use it, like
I would never use it,
and you would never use it. But if someone would use it,
I wouldn't even be able to tell.
They typically wore a wardrobe that complements a man purse. Then maybe they could use it.
I could never. But anyway, so my point is the different levels. You say they wouldn't stop,
right?
So
I don't think they would.
But at what point do the video game companies say we have to raise prices on the games because they're only getting more expensive?
Right. I think if once that model starts to fail, if people just aren't buying the more expensive versions because they're sick of, they're sick of that trend. They're sick of paying $10 extra or $20 extra for some, an extra orc tribe or,
an extra gun,
an extra gun and a sword or whatever.
Right.
You know what I mean? That you can end up unlocking later or something like that. I think that's when they're going to have to start looking at, okay, we're going to have to release this game at $70 instead of $60.
Right.
You know what I mean? I think they're not going to change. If it's not broke, don't fix it. So if that model's working for them, they're making oodles and oodles of money. Why would they change that? You know what I mean?
Okay.
And why? Because if that's a bunch of bad PR if they're the first company to raise their game price, like the base game price.
Okay.
If, say, it's Bethesda, the new Elder Scrolls game comes out and it's $70, people are going to be like, what the fuck? Bethesda's greedy, blah, 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 blah.
But they're going to still buy it.
Sure. Yeah, they'll probably still buy it from all the Bethesda people, but it'll cause a bunch of negative backlash.
But that's what they want.
Right. But if EA's or some other company, whatever company, call it Rockstar, comes out with Red Dead Redemption 2 and it's $70, I think companies will be willing to jump on board the $70 per base game train as long as they're not first. If you're first, you're screwed. You know what I mean? If you're second, third, fourth, especially if a bunch of, like, the holiday season comes out and one company does it and then a bunch of one follow suit, I think it'll be, if you're second, you're fine. But that first company is going to catch a lot of heat for releasing a $70 base game.
Right. So now, okay. So we've gotten through the original base game in the different versions.
Right.
I'm with you.
Right.
I still think collector's edition, because you give me something sweet, and then you give me the base game.
Yeah.
There's two options. I don't think there should be a middle of the road where you get all of the cool guns,
right,
but you don't get the statue.
Yeah.
You should be able to do what it takes from the base game, and that should be it.
Right.
So now we go into, okay, the game launches. I play the PC version of Destiny. Mm-hmm. So the PC launches. A week later, they're releasing The Curse of Osiris, the first DLC.
Right.
And I'm in the game, and trust me, I'm nowhere even near that expansion.
Right.
Like, they're talking about how they're sick of the raid in Destiny, and I'm like, I haven't gotten through the campaign yet. Right?
Right.
So now we have this expansion. So you can sell the expansion pass. They sell the expansion pass, which is $50.
Sure.
You get all the expansions, one flat fee. Call of Duty DLC pack, the Fallout ones. All of the games are doing it now.
Sure.
You could buy this season pass, I think they call it.
Yeah, exactly.
So you spend, so the game's $60, but then you spend another $50, and that's $110. Mm-hmm. Or if you buy it all at the same time, you can buy it for the low introductory price of $99.99.
Right.
So now they come out with the base game.
Right.
And now when they release the game, I bet half of these DLCs are already done.
Exactly. That's my point. That's frustrating for me.
Okay. So you buy the game day one, you play the snot out of it, and you do everything. Your max level of whatever.
Gear and level
everything.
And whatever.
Yeah, and okay, so now you're done. So they release this expansion, boost this, and now boost that, and everybody's all over it. And then they do another one. And for the guys like me who, I'm not going to buy the season pass because I don't know if I'll get there.
Right.
But now, if I finish the campaign of Destiny, and I'm just giving that as an example, and now I want to play the next part, Curse of Osiris, I want to play that.
But it's all in-game material.
No, I think there's more story.
Right. Okay.
I think that's the point of all those, is you get a little story, for Destiny, and you get a little story and a little bit of end game stuff.
Oh, okay, I see.
But either way, I think it's $30 a whack.
Yeah, that's tough.
And, you have to be committed to the game to be able to do that.
Right.
And I'm sure the hardcore players buy it right up, the season pass right away.
Right.
Because I know when I was in the heart of Call of Duty, I would buy the season pass.
Right.
To be able to do that right away.
See, that brings up a good point that I was going to make about Siege. So in Siege, you have your base characters that are... There's 5 counterterrorism groups on the base game.
You said that, yeah.
4 characters each. They cost $500 for the first character within a counterterrorism group. So there's 4 people for the FBI SWAT. The first one you buy is $500. The second one you buy is $1,000. The third one $1,500, and the fourth one $2,000. So those characters don't cost at most $2,000 a piece. But then for every 3 months after the game came out, they release 2 more characters. And each of those new characters, the DLC characters, I'll call them, they're $25,000 each. $25,000 a piece, as opposed to $2,000 at the most.
So can you buy the credits?
Yes. This is where it gets a little sketchy for me. So, the base game characters, totally reasonable. You can get 2,000 credits relatively quickly.
Okay.
You can get 2,000 credits relatively quickly. 500 credits is really fast. That's like 1 game, maybe 4 games max. But then when they do the DLC characters, I think that's a little unreasonable, because then you can buy the season pass, or they call them a year pass, and you get 8 characters for $30.
So, but you have to dip into your wallet,
Right.
pull out a card, and spend some money.
Or you can play 10 hours, 20 hours worth of gameplay and buy 1 character. Or you can spend $30 and buy 8 characters.
But if you don't want to spend the money, and you can grind
And get
them.
But I think that's approaching that unreasonable level of grinding. Whereas people can buy it and get it immediately.
Well, of course, but that brings me back to our time.
Right.
You know, if you had 8 hours free in the day when you were, in high school, or
Right,
sure, when you didn't have to work, or all that stuff, or I don't know, a kid.
Sure.
Before my little girl, I would spend endless hours. Like I said in the first episode, Carrie would have to pry me off of the computer. Right. You know what I mean?
Right.
So now your microtransactions in Siege, you can spend money to get the characters, but you don't need the characters to play the game.
Right.
You can play with the base. You can play with the base characters.
Absolutely,
all you want.
No problem. And have all the success.
Right. So then you can play with the base characters and enjoy them, but will the game get boring?
Right.
So then you earn your credits, and then you buy a new character, and you play with that one for a little while, and then you earn some more credits.
You can, but that one's. I think that one's sort of on the line of being unreasonable and reasonable.
But that doesn't ask the question: is that paying to win? Because you still have to take that player
and do something.
If you're a terrible shot,
it doesn't matter.
Sure. If I could never play Siege because I just run around and run and gun.
Right.
I would just die.
Yeah.
And everybody on my team would just boot me from the match every time because they'd be like, F this guy.
Right.
I don't want to play with him.
Right.
So, is that pay to win? I don't think so.
No, I don't think so either. I think that's it's sort of on the line of unfair just because of how much they cost and how long that'll take you to accrue.
Again, who owns Rainbow Six?
I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Ubisoft, I think.
Okay.
Or Ubisoft.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, but Ubisoft, if their game is selling on Steam right now for $8.99,
right? It's true. That means they're not making a lot of money on the base game.
Well, that's not true. Or they've made all the money on the base game.
Right.
So each game has a projection. So that we want to make $30 million on release, which is much more than that, but I'm just putting a number out there.
Sure.
But let's say they make $60 million. They're like, well, let's sell more.
Sure.
So we've made our money in every dollar we make. So if you sell 100 people at $9 a game, you just made $900.
Sure.
Or $9,000, I'm sorry.
Right.
Hey, we're winning.
Right.
So now you take that and you go to these microtransactions. Now, hopefully, the guy like me, I'll just say, let's say I bought Siege for $9, and I'm playing it. I'm like, wow, this is great.
Yeah,
I'm having fun. Oh, I can buy DLC characters. That's $30. I'll go buy 8.
I only play. Yeah, if you only paid $9, that's sure. That's a home run.
Right. So after a year and a half of it being out,
right,
that microtransaction makes sense, and I still have to take that character and do what that character does in order to win.
Right.
And if I'm playing Pro Team Nick, who you guys are all pros,
sure,
and you guys are shooting around the corner, and I don't even know where I'm dying from because you know that this wall has no 2x4s in the wall, and you can blow a hole through it.
Right.
Because you played this one map 4,000 times.
Sure.
I'm still not... I can buy the best of the best, and I still...
Doesn't matter, right. That's true.
But then you have games where, I think it was Battlefront 2.
Yeah, the Battlefront 2's bad.
All right, so... But didn't they stop it? So originally they said that there's going to be a way to buy right out of the gate buy upgrades or buy something to make you max level right away.
Yeah, you can pay real money. I believe I see all the microtransactions in Star Wars Battlefront 2 made me not buy it, so I don't know because I haven't played it entirely, but from what people are saying, it takes about 40 hours in-game to unlock one hero. So
And that means 80 hours for me.
Right. Sure. So, or 60 for me. I'm not quite as meticulous as Marcus.
No, it's not meticulous. It's just by the time I get in a game, I'm going to play one match at a time.
Right.
So I'm never going to get the hang of the mechanics of the shooter because every shooter is a little different.
Right. That's true. So, on average, 40 hours per hero. So, if you want to get Darth Vader, you can pay $5.99, or you can play the game for 40 hours, and there's 20 heroes to unlock.
Oh, I would pay $5.99.
Well, yeah, but morally speaking, people don't like that. That it's pay to win.
Well, of course.
I think if you buy the base game, you should be able to unlock the content at a reasonable pace. You know what I'm saying?
And that's why, this is the end of single-player games. Look at that game that just got canceled from EA. The single-player Star Wars game. They canceled it because there's not, they can come out with DLC.
Sure.
But they're gonna have to keep pumping out new story and new story and new story in order to keep making money on the game.
Right.
Or they can, for a guy like me who, $6 if I really want to play as Darth Maul. I want to fuck some shit up as Darth Maul. Like, who doesn't want to do that?
Sure,
like,
I want to right now.
Pre-cut in half Darth Maul, of course.
Right,
I don't want to be hobbling around just stomach and arms. You know what I mean?
Right.
But if it cost me $5.99, okay, so I paid $65.99 for this game, or $64.98, whatever it is, and I got Darth Maul,
right,
off the cusp. But then there's the guys like yourself who buy the game and you're like, "Fuck, I'm a college kid. Yeah. I just spent $60 on this game. I don't want to spend $6 more just to be able to play Darth Vader,
dude, or $10 to pay as 4 characters or something.
Who cares?
Yeah, right, whatever it
is,
right.
So that's where I think I agree. I don't like. An XP boost, okay. It's that to me is on the cusp,
right?
Because I buy the CXP boost for Star Wars: The Old Republic,
sure,
and that boosts my CXP gains by 100%.
Oh, that's pretty. Yeah, that's a lot.
But I don't think it's pay to win because I still have to play the game.
You still have to do something to get the XP.
Exactly, and when I get the CXP and I get my new loot box from my level up, it's RNG. It's random generated, and I open the box, and 99% of the time I go, delete all, because it's shit.
Right.
And I'm like, I fucking hate RNG. Right. Why do they do it? But because it gets you to get another crate.
Sure.
And get another one. Right. Same thing with the cartel market in Star Wars. In the Old Republic, you can buy anything you want.
Right.
But mostly everything in there, eventually is available in the galactic trade market.
Right.
So I'll be able to buy that eventually because somebody went out and spent money, bought it, and then like, fuck it, I'm going to sell it to this idiot in game for 100 million credits.
Sure.
I talked to the guys, and there was this one armor set, and
What's
Darth Malgus.
It's the Darth Malgus set.
Armor set. I've been talking about this for a year. I want this.
Yeah.
And I've been watching these prices on the GTN, the Galactic Trade Network, fluctuate.
Sure.
I think the lowest I saw it was like 80 million credits. And then the most I saw was 150 million credits.
Whoa.
Let me tell you, I've never had more than like 25 million credits ever. And all these guys in that I play with, they're always like, oh, Marcus, just go do heroics and don't do this and don't do that. And, they're like, you can get 1 million credits a night by doing heroics. I'm like, all right, so 1 million credits times 150 million. That's going to take me a long time to get 150 million. And then I'm going to spend every dollar I have to get this armor.
Sure, that's still half a year's worth of nights.
To do that?
Nobody.
Ain't nobody got time for that.
Exactly.
Or I don't, right?
Sure.
So it was funny. Then all of a sudden, BioWare started doing direct sale items. Now, mind you, their cartel market is armor, boosts, nothing that is a power gain.
Okay. Against other players. Or
correct.
Something.
Nothing. It's just you can get an XP boost, but you have to play the game to use it.
Right. And that XP boost, that's
in
fine.
a sense, it's paying to win because I'm gaining levels faster than
someone else.
You.
Right, but it's not directly.
But it's not power.
Right.
So this item went on direct sale.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody started commenting my name. Marcus, your armor's on sale. Well, it was 2,000 cartel coins.
Okay.
I think, or something like that. So 450 coins, I think, is $5 or $10.
Okay.
I don't know. Well, anyway,
450 coins is $5 or $10.
Yeah,
let's call it $5. If it's 5,000, that means 5 times. That's $50 for a set of armor. We are gonna have to fact check it, folks. Please stand by for technical difficulties.
So what I'm trying to say is, okay, so 450 coins is $4.99. Okay, you can get I think I pay $20 for 2,400. Doesn't matter. I don't care.
Okay,
that was well worth me spending my hard-earned money to get the armor that I really wanted.
Right. If it's $20 of real money, and frankly, if you look at it in terms of like $1 per hour,
yep.
If it's 150 nights worth of money, if 150 nights, say you play 4 hours a night or something, mm-hmm. times 150, I don't want to do that math. Let's go ahead. No, it's 600. It's 600 hours.
Right.
600 hours or $20. That's, I don't even know how many pennies per hour.
Right.
That's well worth your time to just pay the money outright.
So my point is we have things that we'll buy and be happy to spend our money on.
Sure.
Me, that armor is everything, and then one of my guildies, shout out Ray's Van, or Rack Evan, sorry, I had to say it, and he made me these die packs. So instead of all black, I went red and black.
That sounds pretty epic.
Exactly, but it was worth me spending that money.
Right.
And it brings me back to, in order to keep all these games alive,
you need to have extra money coming in after the base game.
Yep. I need to be able to buy these things to help keep the game going.
Right.
There's guys in game that will never buy any of these things.
Right.
And I feel like, okay, I pay $15 a month to play this game.
Mm-hmm.
It costs a lot of money to run this game.
Sure.
It came out 6 years ago. The original money from the release,
it's pretty much got to be gone by now.
It has to be gone.
Right.
So right now we're just paying to maintain this game.
Right.
If they started coming out with, you could buy 248 armor, which is the highest gear setting right now.
Mm-hmm.
I would be like, no, I'm done playing this game.
Right.
And that was the uproar from Battlefront 2, was people were in an uproar.
You could just go ahead and buy the best stuff of the game right now.
Somebody said they lost 30% because of canceled pre-orders. Yeah. I have no confirmation of this, but this has been the word throughout it all.
Sure.
That, they've lost so much money because of this loot box thing.
Right.
But correct me if I'm wrong, Overwatch does loot boxes too.
Right, but Overwatch's loot boxes are cosmetic.
It's all cosmetic?
Yeah.
So I've only played it, that one time.
Right.
So, I played it for a month.
Yeah, Overwatch is all cosmetic, and Siege has loot boxes as well that are all cosmetic.
Yep.
You can buy different outfits for your characters or different skins for your guns. But then you can buy credits, which you can buy more characters for, which again, they're in the margin, sort of those morally right and wrong. Shadow of War has loot boxes too, but that's a single player game. It does have multiplayer elements, but I haven't touched on it yet. I think you can build up your orc army and raid other people's castles, but I haven't gotten that far into the game yet. That's sort of an end game thing you can do. And so I can't really comment on how that'll affect it, because if you can get better gear in those loot boxes than someone else who doesn't have them, I think that's sort of in the margins as well. But I don't think, as long as the loot boxes stay cosmetic or they stay as things that don't affect your PvP or player versus player performance, I don't think they're morally bad. I think if you can buy things in the loot boxes that make you have a direct leg up on competition, I think that's where things start to get morally bad.
Okay, so as we wrap this thing up,
mm-hmm.
my question is, let's say game prices were $100 each.
Sure. Okay.
You pay $100, but there's only one edition of the game.
Yep.
It's $100.
Right.
There's no loot boxes, will games be able to sustain updates, glitches, will the developers be able to maintenance these games if it's a one-time flat fee of $100 a game?
See,
long term,
I don't think they would, because the downside of having a $100 game is you're not going to sell as many copies off the bat because people can't afford it. But the upside is the $100 per game, so you're making more per copy. So I don't know if that's going to even out initially. You'd have to have just generally high initial sales.
Well, that's it. It's...
You'd have to have really high initial sales in order to make that work.
My answer is no.
I don't think so
The
either.
development companies, they could charge us $200 for a game. That money's going to wear out, and they need to generate business from somewhere else.
Right.
So I can't see the loot boxes going away.
Right.
But I think the stand behind Battlefront 2 said a word to EA and the rest of the developers. Everybody just wants a pink Stormtrooper.
Right.
Why couldn't they just come out with armor that says pink Stormtrooper?
Right.
And one of EA's comments was, well, it's not canon. Well, it's a fucking video game.
Sure.
Why in my other Star Wars game, I can do whatever I want with my armor. Yeah, it's not canon, but until, 4 years ago when Disney acquired
Star Wars,
or 3 years ago, whatever it was canon.
Sure.
I mean, it was just whatever.
There's just the extended universe. It
Exactly.
happened 3,000 years before the trilogy, so who cares?
why can't I have a pink armor set?
Sure.
If I'm a Stormtrooper.
Absolutely.
Or have a pink helmet and a blue shirt if I'm in the Rebel Alliance.
Or whatever you want. Yeah.
So, all right. You ready to get this thing over with?
Yep. Let's wrap it up.
Awesome, man. You can find me on Twitter at Working Class Nerds.
What are you guys talking about in here?
Find out next episode of
Working Class Nerds.